All right, let's bring them in. We got a Jen, we got a Bob, we got a Scott, we got a whoop, we got a Steve. Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, quiet people. So Jen, welcome
Hey,
back to the Zoom after show.
I love the Zoom after show. Reminds me of those days, and I hope they'll come back, where you find that little restaurant where you walk to the back and there's no sign, but there's a private little room with a private little bar, and it's your own deal. There's maybe enough for 12 people.
Should we maybe call it like is it a speakeasy?
It's kind of like a speakeasy, but and there are a lot of them. It caught on. There was a big trend for a while, and we always sought it out. My family and friends, that was special.
We
They're
you
all over the place. Yeah,
you might have just rebranded the Zoom after show as the speakeasy because you can. It's beautiful. It works on two levels, right? Speakeasy in terms of what it represented, but also the ability just to speak at ease.
yeah, and to have the magic word to get in.
And the magic word is bit.ly/CoronaTV after show.
There you go.
Hello, Joey and
Okay.
Mr. Tom Morris.
Joseph, one of the things that weren't mentioned when we were talking about 2B, unless I missed it because I had to step out of the room for a minute, was health. You talk about being 50. Well, I'm 76, so I'm a little bit past the 50 mark, and I'm still going strong, even with medical problems. To be healthy has to be number one.
That is huge. You know, on a mental and physical both ways. If you aren't healthy, you can't do anything. You know, you're no good to anyone, or primarily yourself. So yeah, that's fantastic. Lost audio?
No, I'm here. I'm just seeing Marcus on the StreamYard still, and I'm seeing if he needs. Are you looking for the link, Marcus?
Yeah, I don't have the link.
Oh, so it's on the bottom of the screen. It's bit.ly/CoronaTV after show.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
All right, come on over. I just happened to see him there, so.
See,
No, I mean, listen, Stephen. My answer to you is simple. I pray for and I wish people now for these three things, and I've even mentioned it in a soliloquy. Here he is: health, happiness, success, in that order. And sometimes I even include love, so it would be health, happiness, love, and success. And leading up to this year, people would have put success a lot higher up that list. And it's not to say it's not important. Well, exactly, Joey. And it's like health is number one. So, I mean, but the to be part, the way the way Jan phrased it was, it's just what popped in, this idea of being full, being satisfied, being grateful, being happy with what you have. And that includes health, by the way, because not many people, every single day, more people than died on 9/11 are being robbed of that.
Maybe to be conscious, to have consciousness. Yeah, all the answers were about, the reason I use the word role is that we traditionally think of roles as a title, as a job, as something nostalgic, that Scott was bringing up, and that we all saw had an evil and a good twin to it. So, when you visualize the magnitude of what the problems are and what the things are that that you're dealing with in your life, and that you hope for in your children's and your children's children's life, the species itself, what is your role when you wake up? And everyone was beautifully about about being something better. I mean, even Chris, in saying he'd rather do than be, says that he's to be a doer. You know, that's his to be. So I thought that was really interesting.
By the way, I finally heard from Carla. She thought the show was at 2.
Oh, crap.
And
That's too bad.
And you know, it's just unfortunate because, you know, I sent the Google, like the briefing doc to everyone. Trisha pulled out. I reached out to Carla, and that must have been just something that slipped through the cracks, which is the time. So yeah, what a pity. But as you can tell from today, it's not like we had a lack of insight, intelligent engagement, contribution, participation, and just brilliance from our guests. Right, Mr. Farnham?
Yeah, I was just thinking about when I was on, it was with 9 people, and I wasn't totally clear on the process either, and did the whole 5 minutes spewing my ideas. And here you did it in an hour with 4 people, an hour strong.
And let's be clear, Bob, Marcus and I were clear on the process, and we did it anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, what are we here for?
You know, I appreciate your honesty. I wish I could tell you this is also your last time of appearing on CoronaTV. I would be lying if I said that. So I'm not gonna. I'm just, you know, I embrace, and I accept Scott Monty for everything that he is and everything that he will be, because, you know, a world without Scott Monty is an incomplete world.
Very kind.
You know what I've been getting out of these is little, I call them, you know, nuggets of knowledge, just insights from such smart and interesting people, and you're all included. But what I'm finding is that it's a day or two later, and I'll be working on something, and I'll get a flash of, oh, I could apply whatever it was to what I'm doing. And the value that I'm getting out of the show is just incredible. And I can't like put my finger on each and every one necessarily, although tagging would help. But I just have to say, I can't believe that more people aren't connecting with it and resonating with it the way I am. So just thanks to you, Joseph, for doing it. And thanks to everybody else for contributing. It's just—
You're welcome. I mean, listen, Jan kind of said it best. It's like we've got this, everyone that's pretty much everyone that's even on today, you know, is that, and, you know, it's like we found this special place, and it's like hidden, and you know what, and we know that when it is discovered, not if, but when it is discovered, you know, what's the old line? No one.
It's so popular, no one goes there anymore.
Yeah, and it's going to lose something along the way. So I've decided.
I agree. I think you're right, Joseph.
I've decided instead of rushing it, let's enjoy it for as long as it lasts, and then let's try and keep it and figure out a way to keep it. So for me, the way I keep it is the fact that, you know, for example, if I charge, and I probably won't, I might, but I will never charge you guys. I'll never charge a guest. I'll never charge the people that were here at the beginning. And charge, by the way, what is charge today on Patreon? It's $3 a month, which still people won't pay for. The thing that's more interesting to me, and this is an interesting flip on it, is I'm less, you know, I'm less focused on why more people haven't discovered it. I'm more interested in how, like, if I could dissect a brain, it would be your brain, Bob, and Jan's, and Joey's, and you know, and Steve, and just try and feel like what is it about you guys that made you discover it? And it's not that you stuck around. Of course you should stick around, because this is beautiful. This is special. But it's like it's more interesting in the you know, the small group of us that have embraced this than all the people that are, you know, still living the old life, the pre-pandemic life, that are running around, that are trying to cram as much, into their basket in any given day as they can, as opposed to just focus on the consistency and the purity and the, and the intimacy is what we've created here. So I know, like I know it's a when versus an if, but I'm much more committed to these relationships, reconnecting with Scott after all these years, not that Marcus and I weren't connected, but it's just had been too long. And that has been a joy for me. And by the way, it has sustained me. It has fed me, not literally. That's another story for another day. But it has fed my soul, and it's been a beautiful thing.
Well,
That's beautiful, Joseph. This makes me think there's some serious things and joyful things that happen in the shows. And that is what life is about. There's never going to be a time when we don't wake up and have a problem. It's not like problems are ever going to go away. There's a sense, I think, and this pressure on us to check off the list on our to-do list, and now the problems go away. That's just not what life is about, and you probably don't want life to be like that. It would be almost too simple. It sounds nice, but it is that false utopia. And when Chris said, so smartly, but maybe too smart by half, that we have to look at data on a faster scale. It's not enough to look at it far out. We have to look at it now and react to it now, and that's how you win in business. And maybe you have your own definition of success. Well, that's also part of the problem. Warren Buffett actually has come around to see that that's a problem to look at data all the time like that. It's creating these performance reports that create companies that don't give a damn about the rest of the world. And he's saying, lose the quarterly reviews. And we're at a woke period where I think we can view that more skeptically. John McDonald, I think, is a guy who has a podcast about conversions and things. And he said the only metric to really pay attention to, all these metrics, all the data, the only real metric to pay attention to is the one that shows that you're improving every day, period. Don't worry so much about all of it. Just see that it's moving.
I also like but by the way, who was the guest that said instead of having a to-do list, you should have a not to-do list? I forget who it was on the show, and I kind of like that idea as well.
Can you keyword search in your algorithm?
Probably. Apparently, that's a thing now with the internet and search and
Actually, you can use YouTube's transcript, because it produces a transcript automatically, and you just click on the word when it comes up, and it'll take you to that spot in the video.
Wow.
That brings to mind, something that Bob said earlier about getting so many nuggets out of this, out of these shows. And the show is probably one of the best kept secrets out there, through no fault of our own. And it's wonderful to have this kind of camaraderie, but I wonder if there's an opportunity here to extract those nuggets, whether it's through an automated transcript, a formal transcript, and pull out the things that are meaningful, and to create some other kind of piece of media from it, whether it's an ebook or a series of posts or what have you, so people can discover it, and to focus on the things that really matter to them out of this.
And you could even put it into a course in a sense, and use those sound bites, the video snippets to make the point. So you could make you could teach somebody something.
Well, you mean something that looks like that, for
there
example?
You go. There you go. Look, it comes down to emotional intelligence, and I think, Jan, what you were just talking about in terms of just knee-jerk responses to data, if you know yourself, if you really understand whether it's you as an individual, as a leader, whether it's your company's strategic vision, the data that comes in every day isn't going to change the fundamental course of the direction you point, of your moral code, of your vision, of your mission, et cetera. There may be things that hit you from the side every now and then and maybe get you off course, but if you know where you're going, if you know what you stand for, then you don't need to be overly focused on the data. And I think that's the kind of thing that
Mhm.
Buffett was getting towards.
Yeah.
By the way,
and,
oh, go ahead.
and not being driven off course because a data point's scaring you.
Right. Exactly. Hey, look, there's something shiny, right?
I just pinned Tom Morris because when he doesn't talk, I've learned that generally means he really didn't like the show. or
No,
the people
listen,
on the show.
listen. That's what I wanted to say, you guys. I totally loved the show today. But the problem is the last minute of the show and the beginning of the after show, my computer started blowing up in every possible way. I lost my mouse. I lost my keyboard. My browser stopped working. The screen froze. I mean, I've had every problem technically that somebody could have. So I had to say to myself what I've learned to say these days: what would Scott Monty do? And so I got my bow tie out, but I haven't had a chance to tie it yet. And I'm not sure how it'll look with this t-shirt, but nonetheless, everything started working as soon as I brought it out of the closet. So
That's
thank you.
beautiful.
You're my
Hey,
hero, Scott. Thank you.
Don't
And
hang
Tom,
yourself.
you can do the Bob Farnham. You can do the Bob Farnham method and just look at the video.
By the way,
And I
let's
thought
just
the
take
Bob
a,
Farnham was bringing out a microphone so big you couldn't see my head. And then
let's take a moment to reflect and recognize, and this should be the last compliment that Scott Monty gets today. But for over the last 100 days, he has posted another image and story behind his bow ties. And I haven't asked you the question, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer, which is none of them are repeats. They're all in your possession. And my third question, the real question, is how many more days do we have to endure? I mean, how many more days are you going to be doing this?
I want to see the Kim Kardashian size walk-in closet where all these bits
Well, the bow ties are
sartorial
small, so it
dandy-
can be a small closet, I think.
We may do a wrap-up show that specifically brings people behind the scenes.
It's a great idea.
Takes a look at it's like a tour of Jay Gatsby's closet with the shirts, the ties, etc.
You know,
Can
I've
I
told
wait?
you this,
Can
haven't I?
can I host the show, and it can be like that Monty Python skit, which is, would you like to know the meaning of life? Come on, follow me right here. Well,
That's the only way it's going to work.
I think I've told Scott on Facebook my two stories. Maybe I just told you one, that the first time I ever wore a bow tie for a public business speech, half the crowd complimented me on my bow tie. That's what they wanted to talk to me about afterwards. They were so excited about it. And then the other time I wore a bow tie, it was on Regis and Kathy Lee at the peak of their popularity. I premiered the book True Success, and I got an email or phone call or something from a famous psychiatrist who said to me, never wear a bow tie on national TV again. So, so you just have to do what you feel like doing,
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Charles Osgood, famous CBS Sunday morning host and bow tie fancier, he was taken to task by a men's style guy in GQ or something, who said you can't trust people who wear bow ties
They
because
always used to say, right?
they're independent thinkers. And he said, it doesn't. I mean, Winston Churchill wore bow ties, and I think the UK trusted him to make it through World War II. So it really doesn't have anything to do with trust, but it does save you from spilling food on an expensive tie.
Yes.
Right? Because you can't do that. And he ended his radio program one day with his classic doggerel poem. For those who have lusted to be honored and trusted, a bow tie, I say, doesn't hurt. For it isn't your tie most people will eye. It's the soup stain there on your shirt.
That's good. I like that. I once asked a doctor at Yale, a lot of bow ties at Yale Medical. And I was there for a long time. I asked a doctor, I said, why do you guys, so many of you guys wear bow ties? And a lot of the Harvard guys do too, in Harvard Med and Mass General.
Right.
And he said, it's two things. First of all, there's a pain reflex most patients have of grabbing. Yep. And if you're hanging over a patient with a long tie, they're going to choke you with your own tie. Secondly, if you're not with patients, but in the lab, your long tie will fall into the solution. So he said, bow tie solves all the problems.
And if you're a pediatrician, a kid won't pee on it.
Another valuable thing.
I'll say this, going back to what Bob was saying, where the insights come back to you days later.
Yeah.
So to set up what I'm going to say is, I've been fascinated, watching CNN over the course of the last 6-7 months. A lot of these, the people that they have, their authorities, their subject matter experts, they come back and they almost all of them have a catchphrase or have like green rimmed glasses, or Dr.
Right.
Peter Hotez, who wears a bow tie.
Mhm.
And that's in a way part of media 101, which is whether it's clothing, whether it's whether it's Ashish Jha, who always says, and the first thing he always says, and thank you very much for having me. It's always the way that he opens up his segment. This goes back to, I forget who it was, one of the guests said, the opening line in your bio is so important because you can say something so outrageous, but it's what everyone remembers. And at the end of the day, when you've been at a conference with 10, 15, 20 other speakers, they'll go, what was that speaker with the green rimmed glasses again?
Yeah.
This goes back to Eric Qualman, who wears these green rimmed glasses that aren't even lensed as well. And so it
Oh, yeah, I
kind of
remember
shows you, it shows you the importance of that first impression, but more importantly, the consistent impression, whether it is a sign on or a sign off, or I'm not gonna mention who said this to me. I will not call them out or embarrass them. But there was one person on the show, one guest, and I failed to mention that they were Chuck Norris approved. And they emailed me afterwards and they said, what was wrong with this guest? Did you not like them? Was something going on? Because they said to me, why were they not Chuck Norris approved? And it shows you the power of
Yeah.
consistency, from a branding and a differentiation standpoint.
There's
Chuck's a temperamental guy. Chuck's temperamental. What can you say?
there's an old,
No. Now Chuck approves everybody.
there's an old, or maybe it's not that old. There's a wise copywriters or writers rule. Maybe you guys know it. So I'll ask you, and that is, what is the purpose of the first sentence? And you could think of that metaphorically, the first whatever, or the thing that you notice. But in writing, what is the purpose of the first sentence?
Get attention.
Set the scene.
Yeah, I'd go with attention getting.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Writer Jaffe?
It is to, I would probably just say to grab attention. Yeah.
It's not that you're all wrong, but
I'm used to that.
what I'm about to say has helped me in a lot of ways, and specifically in writing marketing, but writing anything. See if you agree. The purpose, the job of the first sentence is to read the second sentence.
To draw you in.
And it keeps going.
Yeah.
And that's how you write a paragraph. And
Guys, you're all gonna hate me, but I have to jump onto a call.
Damn it.
And because it's a freaking Zoom, I have to
Close
end this
this.
one.
You can't
but-
keep us going at
I
the
gotta
same
go
time.
too.
That's
no, but
one
guess
flaw
what?
in
Guess
Zoom.
what? Guess what? I'll be back on Monday, and I'll be
Yeah.
back next Friday. And I'll tell you who won't be back. Carla Johnson. I'm just kidding. She will be back.
Hey, Scott, you're